Smith, Chairperson of the ICT Advisory Council. All protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen, let me extend to you a warm welcome and a very good morning this morning for this workshop on having a theme competition in the telecommunications sector. The workshop will allow all stakeholders to discuss on strategic areas of relevance to the telecom sector. With these viewers, I'll ask the Chairman of the ICT Advisory Council to address you.
Honorable Tasarajan Pillai Chidambaram, Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Mr. Vishnu Gondia, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Mr. Tilaku, Deputy Permanent Secretary and representative of the Ministry of ICT on the board of the ICT Advisory Council, distinguished actors, players, users, consumers of the telecommunications industry, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would like to welcome you all on behalf of the ICT Advisory Council and thank you for the presence for this workshop. During the recent years, the global telecommunications market has been moving undisputedly towards greater liberalization and increased competition. In this respect, the International Telecommunications Union is urging countries to ensure that they possess the necessary facilities and know-how to efficiently and effectively manage telecommunication competition issues in the interest of all users and consumers. With the support of the Ministry of ICT, the ICT Advisory Council took the initiative to have this workshop, given the importance that telecommunications have gained during the last decade. I shall now run through a couple of slides to set the context for this workshop. So I'm going to go through the items on the slide. First of all, I'm going to say a few words about the decade of transformation regarding liberalization of telecommunications, the local telecommunications ecosystem, the economic impact of telecommunications, and the objectives of the workshop and the themes of this discussion. If you don't mind. All right, I think that's easier. So, as mentioned in the title, 2003 and 2013 has been a decade of transformation. It all started with the ICT Act of 2001, where the objective of the then government was very clear about ensuring that telecommunication services are reasonably accessible at affordable cost nationwide and supplied as efficiently and economically as practical and at performance standards that reasonably meet the social, educational, industrial, commercial and other needs of Mauritius. Unquote. So, the licensing structure for issuing new licenses was reviewed in July 2003. This has helped the country to attract a number of new players, local and international, in the ICT market. And the table to the right shows the license holders, the evolution of the number of license holders during the last decade. So as you can see, there has been an increase in the number of players in most of the segments of the telecommunication sector, whether it's fixed, mobile, ILD, and even for the ISP. Well, this has been the result of this decade of transformation, the development of a full-fledged telecommunications ecosystem in Mauritius. So this ecosystem, as you can see, the opening of the market has led to the creation of an environment, including a number of species within the ecosystem. The internal species include policymakers, regulators, network providers, access providers, content providers, which in fact creates value for the market. And on the external environment, we have the users and consumers of telecommunications. And on this side, you can clearly see that the environment today is putting a lot of pressure on connectivity and access. For example, we have private users, households who are constantly looking for higher speed and quality of service. Businesses are using ICT and telecommunications as an enabler. ITS BPO has emerged as a full-fledged industry in Mauritius. And of course, machines and devices are now invading the telecommunications world. The number of wireless devices, including tablets and smartphones, are putting pressure on operators. And finally, government and organizations also using ICT and telecommunications for traffic and also for enabling business, including e-health, e-education, etc. So if we are here today, means that we are all part of this ecosystem. And the objective of this workshop is to have all the elements of the ecosystem to sit together, to work and discuss on how we can move forward with telecom competition. So the economic impact. So what has happened since telecommunication has been revitalized in Mauritius? New players, new entrants, new directives from the regulator. So this has led to a number of evolution, and these indicators clearly show what has been the impact of telecommunications on the economy. First of all, the number of ICT and BPO companies has increased drastically from 148 in 2006 to more than 500, and I would even say 600 in 2013. Same for the number of internet broadband connections. The capacity of international bandwidth has been increased by more than 40 times, and today it stands at 15 or even 16 gigabit, I would say. Internet tariff has been decreasing constantly. Same for the international lease lines. One indicator which is very dear to me is the number of income tax individual returns for the Mauritius Revenue Authority. It was 1,571 in 2006 when MRA started e-filing online, which represented at that time 1.2%, and today it stands at 92% of all income tax returns has been done by e-filing. So this clearly shows that we have been quite a long way since we started in 2003, and with the various policies that have been put during the last 10 years, including the open access policy, including the broadband policy. So now we are going to go to have a look at the objectives of this workshop. So first of all, this workshop is to provide an open and neutral platform for discussion. So we will invite all stakeholders who are part of the ecosystem to come and discuss today on the key themes that is going to be asked later. Sharing common challenges that the country faces with respect to telecom competition. So you are the actors, you are the players, you know better than everyone what this country requires to go further towards telecom competition. Identifying areas of weaknesses and opportunities, and anticipate the needs and actions for the next decade. So we have been talking about 2003-2013. So what is going to be next for the next 10 years in terms of action, in terms of policies. And finally, proposing recommendations to help in future policy decisions. And we sincerely hope that the outcome of this workshop will lead to the elaboration of a strategy paper on telecom competition. The main themes for discussion. So I'm not going to comment about the themes. This is going to be discussed during the table discussions during this half day. So does everyone in the telecommunications ecosystem benefiting fairly from liberalization and competition? Is competition prevalent in all services? What has been the evolution of prices with respect to competition? Is competition improving penetration and access? What is the impact of the open access policy on prices? And finally, what can be done to improve and increase competition in the telecommunication sector? So these are the themes which have been discussed at the level of the ICT Advisory Council. In fact, telecommunications is a vast topic. You can spend days discussing about telecommunications and competitions, but we have chosen these key topics which we think is a priority of the day based on what has happened during the last 10 years and on what we can anticipate for future. So now I would like to thank the members. Before ending, I would like to thank the members of the ICT Advisory Council for their support and interest in discussing these topics with the support of the Ministry. I would like to thank the Honourable Minister for his guidance and the support in organizing the workshop. And on behalf of the ICT Advisory Council, I would like to commend the actions and initiatives of the Honourable Minister and the Minister of ICT for constantly bringing telecommunications and ICT development on the forefront of the government agenda, both for Mauritius and Rodrigues. To conclude, I would say that the workshop has been carefully thought such that the output of the workshop will depend on the input of each and every participant. And as such, I would encourage you to voice out your observations, proposals, and ideas that would enrich the discussion for further elaboration of any strategy and policy in the future. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Ramthami, for setting the scene for the workshop. Now I have the honor and privilege to invite the Minister for his address and declare the workshop open.
The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Mr. Gondia, Mr. Naveen Ramsamy, Chairman of ICT Advisory Council, Chairman of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Chairman of Mauritius Post, the CEO of Mauritius Post, Chairman of MITIA, representative of OTAM, distinguished guests, representatives from ICTA, the regulator, Dr. Ulan, Chairperson and CEO of public and private organizations, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I must say that I'm very happy and deeply honored to be in your midst today on the occasion of the opening of the workshop on competition in the telecommunications sector organized by the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology in close collaboration with the ICT Advisory Council. Let me right from the outset express my thanks and appreciation to the ICT Advisory Council, a key body in the ICT landscape which comprises representatives of both the private and public sector. I must admit, it has been so far discreet, but has effectively discharged its statutory duty as provided by the ICT Act. The Council has always been critical and made several valuable proposals on today's topical issue regarding the enhancement of an effective and conducive environment for the telecommunications sector in Mauritius. That's why I have deemed it important to advise that a workshop be organized involving all stakeholders to provide factual information and updates on the subject matter as well as to discuss on proposals and the way forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to admit that ever since I took office in May 2010, my topmost priority, amongst other things, has been to contribute as the policymaker to drive down telecommunication costs, and this at the expense of creating frictions between telecommunication service provider and myself. Il va sans dire, il me semble que vous avez toujours été un témoin privilégié de ma guerre ouverte avec les opérateurs pour, bien sûr, le bien du secteur. Mais ce que nous avons à faire, c'est travailler, contribuer pour qu'on puisse faire mieux, pour qu'on puisse, afin de devenir un meilleur pilier. Nous sommes déjà le troisième, fait de faire mieux pour qu'on puisse être le principal pilier éventuellement. I firmly believe that although it is right aspiration and the wish of government for telecommunication companies to remain profitable and not to make supernormal profits, I shall always stand by the people, the very customers that deserve quality services at affordable prices. After all, it is the motto of our government. It is to put people first. I must say that when I took office on the 11th of May 2010, I can still recollect, once I took the oath as minister, members of the press then rushed towards me, asking me for when will come that reduction of tariff for internet. I must say that every time I attended a workshop at that time, it was among the main questions which was put to me by members of the press. And you know, at that time, for us to have a reduction in the tariff, that request must come from the operator towards the regulator, telling him that we are making enough profit, we can have the price brought down, and then we can have that reduction of tariff. I must say that at that time, being given that it was not easy at all, it was like begging to have a reduction in the tariff. And finally we got it in the 2010 budget. There was a decrease in the tariff which we were asking citizens to pay. But at the same time we have to look at the positive side of the story. This at the same time prompted me to propose the Minister of Finance, while presenting the Finance Act of 2010, to amend Section 30 and 31 of the ICT Act to give power to the regulator. As I said before, for us to obtain a reduction of the tariff, that request must come from the operator. But you know, the operator has no interest to ask for a reduction of tariff. It was, I don't know how come it was in the legislation, but you have, you know, we have to live by it because the legislation says that. That's why I propose that amendment in the Finance Act, that is to amend Section 30 and 31 of the ICT Act, giving that power to the regulator, so that the regulator may, each and every time, when the regulator is of the opinion that we have to bring a reduction in the tariff, they can do so. At the time, I still remember many thought that I was fighting a losing battle. Today, I sincerely believe that they have now changed their opinion on that. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring you back to 1997 with the publication of the first white paper for the telecommunication sector, which had as one of the main objectives to bring about the right legislative framework with a view to honor the commitment taken by the government of Mauritius with WTO, the World Trade Organization, to open up the telecommunication sector to competition and to end all monopoly and exclusive rights in domestic and international services by the year 2004. Allow me at this juncture to quote a few figures. In 2005, the tariff for a 2 megabit circuit for an international private lease circuit was USD 12,600. A sharp drop to USD 7,900 of IPLC price has been noted in 2006. IPLC cost continued its free fall to $6,300 in 2007, $4,900 in 2009, $4,100 US in 2011, $3,500 in 2012, and USD 2,975 in 2013. And it's not yet finished. As my friend Mr. Ramsamy rightly pointed out, we launched in 2010, I think it was in October, the open access policy to sea cable. You know, it's not by only having the dominant operator with two other operators. We can say that there has been democratization to access to the telecommunication sector. We had to do more than that. And when we launched that open access policy, then immediately we can see, because at that time, Mauritius Telecom was the incumbent operator, was the only one who had that monopoly of for the bandwidth capacity to sell it to those operators and other corporates. But when we launched that open access policy, then at that time we have seen MTEL, another operator who bought IRU, indivisible right of use, from Mauritius Telecom, and immediately afterwards we got a reduction in the tariff at about 20%, tariff which was sold to the corporates. This was in 2010. 2011, we had the opening of 2 landing stations. This was proposed in the budget, and this provides for unbundling and opening up of competition in international telecommunication services. As a result, international long-distance telecommunication service providers like Belgacom have entered the telecommunication market in a big way, and which has resulted in a drop of international telecommunication prices by up to 54% for comparable services proposed by the incumbent operator. Then subsequently we have got Lion 1 connecting Mauritius with Madagascar and Reunion Island. Then we got Lion 2. Likewise, there's been a sharp decline of ADSL prices, which we have noted since 2005. As a matter of fact, a 512 kilobytes per second was 1,590 rupees in 2006. Today, the price has fallen to 621 rupees. Similarly, the monthly rental for 1 mega ADSL line has been brought down to as low as 708 rupees compared to 5,990 in 2007. Et le cerise sur le gâteau, in its endeavor to make the internet a basic citizen's right, and with a view to demonstrate our sincerity in realizing government's vision to put people first, we had in the last budget brought the price of 256 kilobytes per second ADSL line to a historically low price of 200 rupees per month, which comes out to less than 7 rupees daily. This landmark decision has placed Mauritius on the list of select countries providing the most affordable internet connectivity to its people. The performance in itself is far below the threshold of 5% set by the International Telecommunication Union in order to achieve the objectives of the Millennium Development Goal. As I always say, when ITU is saying that by 2015 we have the threshold was put to 5%, we in Mauritius in 2013 we have done better, and already it is at 1.3% of the gross national income. After having done that, let us see what about local and international calls coming and leaving Mauritius. You will recollect, we had to seek the approval of Cabinet to obtain a reduction in the IUC tariff, this interconnection usage charge. When an operator, when a customer of any operator is in contact with another operator customer, he has to pay 90 cents per cent. And we had a reduction in that tariff, bringing it to 60 cents. And I can still recollect the difficulty that we had because there was no consensus at a certain time. The operators were not too much willing to do so, and we had to seek the approval of cabinet to make it realizable. And actually we can see, and this is very interesting, when you see one operator in this sector offering outgoing calls at ₹1.15 compared to ₹3.60 by other operators. And at the same time giving a 10-cent bonus per minute on incoming calls. I should also hasten to add that price of international coal from Mauritius, which was reserved to a selected few customers only, has dropped dramatically from an average figure of ₹5 to ₹7 and has been brought down to ₹2 per minute. Now, of course, we are waiting a reduction of tariff on roaming facilities using a Mauritian SIM card abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, I am aware that at today's workshop there would be legitimate pleas from the ICT BPO operators for further price reduction and improvement of the telecommunication competitive environment. I would encourage you to make your voice heard loud and clear. However, it is good to highlight that Mauritius continues to offer ICT services at the cheapest price on the African continent, with a ranking of 44 worldwide, while Seychelles is 72. It's right. Egypt 73, India and South Africa, which rank 84th and 98th respectively on the ITU's price basket, which is a composite basket based on the price for fixed telephony, mobile, cellular, fixed broadband internet services, and is computed as a percentage of average income levels. At national level, ICT statistics for 2012, released by Statistics Mauritius in June this year, shows that the cost of internet access as a percentage of gross national income per capita declined from 2.7% in 2011 to 2.5% in 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see for yourself the relentless efforts of the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology to make things happen. Operators in the IT sector will recollect that once you made the request in October last for a reduction in the tariff of electricity, we got a special tariff for you, and now you're paying 50% the cost which you were paying before. When we look at Statistics Mauritius, after having taken all those measures, because the result will not come by itself, I can still recollect that by 2010, the rate of internet penetration in Mauritius was nearly 20%. And when we look at the statistics report, the last one which came in June 2012, we have reached 44%. And at the same time, when you compare it with what is happening in Africa, where you have a growth rate of around 8%, there they are doing 12.5 to 13% internet penetration. You know, I always say that you don't get anything by the mere asking. You have to fight for it. You must have a vision, hard work, full of dedication, and you will have result. You can see how government has been successful in creating that conducive and competitive environment for the telecommunication sector, and rest assured that we shall not sleep on our laurels. We want to see things better in the ICT sector. And nowadays, everywhere, people start talking. And we can see that they are pleased. We can see that really they are taken into account whenever we have to do anything. We try to see in what manner. Not only we're going to create that conducive environment, we have to see to it that operators adopt a citizen-centric approach in whatever. You know, gentlemen, my ministry has recently, it's good that you know it, engaged itself in a dialogue with development partners, including the World Bank, to understand better the mechanics and benefits of functional decomposition of telecommunication functions, as it is the case in developed countries like United Kingdom. It has been in the press for some time now. We announced it last year, and I'm pleased to announce that, you know it well, the 8-digit numbering migration, where we're going to migrate as from 1st September to 8-digit. This is a great achievement for the sector. In October, you will have, as from the 1st of October, the first ID card will show itself. So you can see that you don't get it like that. C'est pas tombé du ciel. And here I would like to thank all the operators, all the IT industries, staff of my ministries, and all bodies which fall under my portfolio, who have strived very hard to make it happen. Once we finish with that migration to 8 digits, I will then, as from September, be pressing for the implementation of what we call number portability for the mobile telephony sector. I would therefore strongly advise telecommunication operators to voluntarily adjust their prices promptly before being taken by surprise by the customer's choice. We believe in that philosophy of putting people first, and to reach that, no stone will be left unturned. As I said, we are very happy when you make big profits. It's very interesting. We cannot continue to keep the nectar or the honey for ourselves and giving the residue to our people. This will not be the case. Rest assured, it is in the pipeline, and we'll have to see to it that it happens as quick as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, with these words, I would like to once more thank all participants present for your presence and interest in this very important subject. I wish to commend the chairman and members of the ICT Advisory Council and the staff of my ministry for organizing today's event. Of course, I wish you all fruitful deliberation, and I now have the pleasure to declare today's workshop on competition in the telecommunication sector officially open. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Mr. Ramsamy has set the scene, but the Minister has highlighted lots of areas of intervention that require discussions in our brainstorming sessions.